Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at Black Myth Wukong. So Black Myth Wukong, as I understand it, is Dark Souls, but Chinese mythology. So kind of interested. Uh if it's following Wukong, Wukong's a pretty cool character. So let's go ahead and take a look at it and see what's going on with this.
你们一定都听过关于他的故事。有人说，他帮唐僧取到了真经，封了斗战胜佛。
So already what they're talking about is Journey to the West. It looks like they are in fact talking about Sun Wukong, which obvious. But he comes from a story called Journey to the West, which is probably one of the most famous pieces of Chinese literary work. And in that, Sun Wukong is not the main character, but he plays a very big part in the story. He's basically the bodyguard for the main character. Um, the guy they're talking about here is he went to find the scriptures of the Buddha with Sanzang, I believe his name is. And after finding the scriptures and coming back to China and going through all their trials and having their own Lord of the Rings type journey, he becomes the victorious fighting Buddha. He gains his Buddhahood, if you will, and so yeah, so far we are talking about Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is one of my favorite mythological fiction uh, characters. He's just kind of fascinated me. He's right up there with like Zeus and stuff as far as mythology goes. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know Son Goku from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, all that kind of stuff. Uh, he is based off Sun Wukong. His whole thing, his whole shtick, his whole deal. Uh, Even in the early days, the whole concept of the Dragon Balls themselves were very much based on basically Sun Wukong's story. Um, Goku's power pole, Nimbus, his whole want to be the best fighter type deal, all of that. Sun Wukong. Uh, when I say the Dragon Balls in the early days, the Dragon Balls were everybody wanted to find the Dragon Balls for immortality. And Sun Wukong has a long, storied history with seeking out things that grant immortality. And I believe he found like 7 different ways of becoming immortal and did every single one of them. So he's a super interesting character. We'll talk a little bit more about him, I'm sure, in this. But already in the first 20 something seconds, they've already referenced uh, Journey to the West. So it should be pretty cool because, man, let me tell you, Sun Wukong has all kinds of abilities. He's a great character to base a game off of. I mean, he's got everything, man. He can basically, he's got your basic stuff, super speed, super strength, super agility, all that kind of stuff. He's got 72 magic transformations where he can turn into objects, animals, items, all kinds of stuff. He's wild. He's got magic. He's got magic spells to like freeze people in place, to manipulate the wind, call storms down. He can resist fire and cold. He basically has the knock spell from D&D. He can just point his finger at something and unlock it. So he's a great character for a video game. He can summon stuff. He can summon spirits. It's cool. So let's see exactly what else they got. Because if they put all of his abilities in here, I mean, he's got a protective circle he can make. It's like a magic invisible shield for him. all kinds of stuff.
从此留在了灵山。也有人说，那个成佛的根本不是他，真正的他早就死在了西行路上。还有人说，西游从来都没有发生过，他只不过是说书人杜撰的一只猴子。但我要讲的故事，你们一定没有听过。
Okay, so here we got this old dude telling us that, you know, we may have heard the tale of Sun Wukong, we may have heard his story, but he's going to tell us a different story. So it looks like it'll be based on Sun Wukong, but not follow his own personal journey. He did a ton of stuff before he was ever involved with Sanzang in the Journey to the West story. Like he had his own background where, you know, he was immortal and had gone to heaven and played pranks on the gods and all kinds of stuff before he ever helped Sanzang and did the whole Journey to the West. So we might be this might be like an alternate history version of Sun Wukong that we're getting to play as, which is cool. I'm totally down for it.
这个故事得从一只金蝉说起。
Okay. Pre-alpha build. I mean, for pre-alpha, it's looking pretty sharp. Okay, so here's the cicada. I wonder if this is one of his 72 transformations. Yeah. Okay, it's like a wolf man. Now, in this Chinese mythology, it was very common to have people, creatures that were like human animal hybrids. Sun Wukong is one of those. He's like a monkey man hybrid. In the Journey to the West storyline, there's other characters. There's another guy they traveled with who was like a man pig hybrid. So human animal hybrids are probably going to be common in.
不知道里面还有没有存酒。
别馋了，误了事儿，小心咱们两个被灵虚真人拿去下酒。
I bet this is one of his 72 transformations.
门口那边好像传来些响动。
Because remember, he can transform into a ton of stuff.
哪个不识相的回来搞
A bunch of animals. Yep.
别以为就能过了老子这关。
So we got Wukong looking pretty good. We've seen that he's can transform. We've seen, you know, that'll be one of his 72 transformations. We see he's using his famous staff, his famous pole. He in the mythology, I want to say he was given that staff by the Dragon King. But I say given because it was less given to him as a gift as it was, here, take this, please get out of my house. Because the Monkey King kind of just showed up one day on the Dragon King's doorstep and he was like, yo, Dragon King, I heard you make the best weapons. Hook me up. Let me get one of them weapons. And the Dragon King was like, no, you need to get out of here. Bodyguards take him away. Wukong beat up all of his bodyguards and then was like, hey, as you can see, I'm nothing to mess with. Give me a weapon. So he had a bunch of dudes come out, bring out a bunch of weapons for Wukong to test out. And Wukong was like, nope, these are all trash. You know, the sword, get it out of here. The spear, get it out of here. he didn't like it. They weren't working. He would break them, or they just wouldn't be right for him. Uh, until I guess in one of the stories, it was the Dragon King's wife who was like, "Listen, just give him the giant piece of iron that we got down there. It's like a big pillar of metal. It's giant. No one can move it. We barely even remember where it came from. Give it to him, and just get it and him the hell out of here." So that's what they did. And they presented it to Wukong, and Wukong, with his ridiculous amount of strength, just kind of grabbed it and swung it around and was like, "Okay, this is solid. I can do some damage with this, but I really wish it was smaller. I really wish it was easier to handle because you got to remember this thing was like a literal pillar. It was like huge, way taller than him, real wide. He's got to grab it with both arms and swing it around. Uh, and when he did, and he grabbed it and said, "I wish this was smaller," it shrunk down into the size of his hand, into like a staff that he could wield as a weapon. And when he did that, he saw that the whole finish of it had changed, and it didn't look like a giant iron pillar. It now had like gold on the ends and stuff. And it was called the Compliant Rod. The Compliant Rod because it complied with his demands. It would grow in length and thickness however he wanted it. So he could use it as a really long range poke weapon. He could stand up on it like on a pole, if he was trying to like cross something, he could like pole vault with it. He could do all kinds of stuff with it. Again, if you've seen Dragon Ball in the early days, because he got rid of the power pole when he became an adult. But as a kid, when this was really based on Journey to the West and Goku had a tail and everything, used the power pole all the time. And the power pole is Sun Wukong's weapon. So I'm sure we'll see lots of cool stuff happen with his weapon here. Oh, see, there's some magic where he can freeze an opponent. I'm telling you, the guy has abilities out the wazoo. Oh, come on, that's awesome. Yo, Dark Souls players are like, I wish I could do that. Just deflect arrow after arrow after arrow. Yeah, the more I'm thinking about Wukong, I'm just remembering all of his abilities. I mean, every bit of this guy is built for battle. Like Goku. Like, even this guy's hair is a weapon. Not even a joke. Every strand of his hair can be weaponized. He can pluck a strand of hair off of him, and he can turn it into a sword if he wanted to. But one of the coolest abilities, and another ability that anime has imitated from Sun Wukong, is his ability to clone himself. So in mythology, what he would do is he would pluck out a handful of hair, and he would throw it or blow it, and it would scatter, and he would tell it to change or transform, and it would transform into smaller versions of himself. And he could even break his hair into more pieces. So a lot of times he would take it, he would put clumps of hair in his mouth and chew it up to get the pieces smaller, and then blow them out and create many clones of himself. So that, I'm sure y'all know what I'm talking about. Naruto kind of took the whole shadow clone thing from Sun Wukong. The whole concept of just being able to clone yourself at random like that. Very cool.
来者何人？敢来此处扰我清修？
We got here.
又是只猴子。施主，不如放下棍棒，也同我学点佛法，如何？
Kind of like wolf spirit. Oh man, Dark Souls players right now are like, man, if I could dodge and move like that in Dark Souls. Using the power pole to get, I'm just gonna call it the power pole. It's not its real name, but that's what I'm calling it. Kind of wish I knew what that said, but all right. Oh, transforming back into the cicada. Oh!
再往前走，可要万万小心。哎，小猴子，来这边。
Boy, the designs for some of these creatures in Asian mythology can get really wild, and then I'm sure that it's further exaggerated and extrapolated for video games and.
这儿，看这儿。小神是黑风山的土地，在此候你多时了。
Yo, look. This dude's kind of creepy. His whole head looks just like a bleached potato.
像，真像。再往前走就是观音禅院。
If anime has taught me anything,
香火鼎盛。
this guy's probably overpowered.
只可惜，
Even though
那
his
场
head looks
大
like an old
火
potato.
哟。后来啊，这禅院又被重建了。哎，可人心若是烧没了，修好一座破庙，又有什么用呢？小老儿先走一步。
Well, that guy just.
当你过了前面的栈
He just
道，
noped
咱
right
们
out of
自
there.
会再见。
Alright, Wukong. Show me some more of your abilities. Yeah, his pole, he can, like I said, he can make it really huge and like smash people with it. Like he's hitting people with a tree trunk. He can make it really long. He can, one of the things that he likes to do in the mythology is he'll shrink it down really small to like the size of a sewing needle and then just pierce his ear with it and walk around with it like that. And that's how he kind of like stores it. People don't really notice it like he's carrying a weapon. He can just walk into town. They're like, yeah, he doesn't have a weapon. He's got a needle through his ear, but that's whatever. And he just pulls it out and has a weapon. It's pretty cool. Like he's charging it up. Or human animal hybrids here. Quite a few of them. Oh, I'm overwhelmed. Oh. Here's another transformation. Like a giant wolfman type deal. Oh, he's just wrecking face with it. And transforms back. Okay. See, I'm telling you, they can go. He's a perfect video game character. They can go wild. They got 72 transformations they can do. I mean, they can basically pick any animal and be like, okay, transformation. Okay, here's old potato head again.
自称灵虚子，以你现在的道行，走了。小猴子，快逃，还来得及！
Old Potato Head don't like whatever this
你
wolf
若进了这道
sound
门
is.
便回不了头啦。
Nice. Like the light occlusion through the fur. Big wolf boss battle. Little freezing the enemy with magic. Extending that power pole to get up above the attack. Oh man, look at how the tiles on the buildings just get like ripped off. Oh, what is this? Oh, he's blowing his monkey hair, making his clones, see? Man, so far, what I've seen is pretty accurate to Sun Wukong's lore. I mean, if anything, they're downplaying Wukong because Wukong was so strong, he could have just slapped a dude to the moon. But so far, they've gotten quite a few things right with his transformation, his pole. He's done his clone technique, which I believe that was called like body out of body was the technique he called it. And even if I remember correctly, he said that he could turn every one of his like 84,000 hairs on his body into another duplicate of himself, and that every duplicate of himself could then clone their hair, and if he wanted to, he could make his own army of Wukongs. That's how crazy powerful this guy was. Okay, so it looks like he transformed into the guy that he fought earlier. I wonder if he'll defeat enemies and gain transformation. And I wonder how many of the quests are going to be based in Wukong's lore. Like I said, he went out and basically got 6, 7, 8 different ways of becoming immortal. Like the first one was he found a crazy master who knew the secret of immortality, and that guy taught him the secret of immortality, and he also taught him, he basically taught him like bending, like wind bending and fire bending and water bending, and he taught him the 72 transformations. That probably won't be in the game because it looks like he can already do transformations and stuff like this. But one of the ways he achieved immortality was he went to the afterlife, and he got his hand, basically he got his hands on the book of life and death, and he erased his name from the book of life and death, making him untouchable by the people, by like the Grim Reaper and stuff, the people who come to collect souls. They couldn't claim his soul because his name wasn't in the book of life and death. There were peaches, heavenly peaches, that he, like, there was 3 different kinds of peaches, and each peach would extend your life or grant you immortality or different abilities. And he ate all 3 of the peaches. So he gained increased speed, extended lifespan, immortality, the ability to fly, just all kinds of stuff. So I mean, we could have missions where we go hunt down the peaches. He even snuck into a party four gods and got drunk on their wine and uh gained immortality by drinking their wine. And then while he was at the same party, drunk off the wine of the gods, he stumbled into the there's like an alchemist of the gods. He stumbled into the alchemist's lab and found a gourd full of pills and just ate the whole thing. And each pill was supposed to grant immortality. And he ate a whole thing of them. The same night he drank the wine of the gods and gained immortality that way. So there could be all kinds of wild missions based around his lore. Game was great. And he just transforms back into Wukong. So he's not wearing a headband. Oh! You see it? Did you see it? Let's back it up. Remember I said that he likes to take his staff, the power pole, and shrink it down to like the size of a needle and stick it into his ear. Check it out. Check out where he grabs it from. Lore accurate, guys. Lore accurate. He's not wearing a headband, so this does not take place during the events of Journey to the West, because they tricked him into putting on a headband so that he would follow and obey Sanzang during the events of Journey to the West, because Wukong was wild, man. He was the problem child. He was the one always stirring the pot, always causing a ruckus. But man, was he good at fighting, and he was good at getting stuff done, which is why they basically made him Sanzang's bodyguard. But in order to control such a wild, free spirit, they tricked him into putting on a headband, and Sanzang could say a little chant, and the headband would tighten. He couldn't take it off, and it would tighten around his head, causing great pain, giving him like a super headache. And that's how they would control him. Now, some of you might kind of associate that with something else from yet another anime with Inuyasha, right? Kagome and Inuyasha, and she controlled him with the necklace, I believe, right? She could just say, "Sit, Inuyasha," and he would just be slammed to the ground. That was a way of her being able to control a much stronger demon just with a word. That idea came from Sun Wukong, his headband being able to be controlled by Sanzang. So you're seeing how Journey to the West and Sun Wukong have influenced a ton of anime. He's a very cool character. He's a very impactful character on media, pop culture, stuff like that. Sun Wukong is the reason we have to thank for characters like Goku and a lot of other things. I know I've gone off on a little tangent, but let's finish this out. We're almost there. Oh, snap. I'm confused. Are we playing as Wukong? Or are we playing as the son of Wukong? Or there are time travel shenanigans going on and he's talking to himself? I don't know, but curious. Interesting. Kind of a lizard man. Giant insectoid. Wild enemy designs. What are those? Okay. So in this, we're seeing the older looking character with the gold. See, this is actually the Wukong staff with the gold on it. Hmm. And here he's flying on that nimbus-like cloud that he gets in fiction. Man, are there two versions of Wukong? Is there like a younger and an older version of Wukong? Or is it like Wukong and Wukong's son? Maybe we open the game playing the younger version and later on get to play older Wukong? I don't know. Okay, all right. So here it looks like he's going a little Dynasty Warriors on everyone with like the 100-to-1 type deal, but this might be where he goes to heaven and basically fights heaven's army. Maybe this might be him fighting the Jade Emperor's army, or it might be him fighting the army in heaven. After he steals the peaches and gets the wine and steals their pills, and he trolls the gods a lot, and so they basically come after him. There's a whole thing. They come after him, they capture him, they try and execute him, but he's taken all the immortality stuff, so they can't kill him. Dude, they even throw him in the alchemist furnace for like 40 something days, thinking that they can burn out all the immortality in him, and it did the opposite. All it did, he was so immortal that all it did was burn away all the mortal parts of him and just make him more pure immortal. He's wild. So this might be a battle where he fights in heaven. I wonder who this guy is. Okay. All right. That's pretty neat, man. It looks like they're got a Souls, plays like a Soulsborne, right? Looks like it kind of plays like a From Software type of game, except definitely looks like it has a much more mobile, much faster kind of gameplay. I'm sure people that play Dark Souls and those type of games are probably salivating just looking at how mobile Wukong is. Just jumping up, going over stuff, dashing, using his pole to just like leap over people. Yeah. Yeah, they're probably pretty jealous. But overall, guys, wow, man. This is a game I didn't even know I wanted. I didn't know that this was something that they were even coming out with. It doesn't look like there's a release date on it yet, so it's probably pretty far out, but wow. Sorry if I got off on a tangent. Like I said at the beginning of the video, Sun Wukong is probably one of my favorite mythological characters. So maybe this has been a little bit of a history lesson, or at least a mythology lesson, an abridged version of Wukong and a little bit of his background and history. If you like this video, if you learned something about Wukong as a character, please feel free to like and subscribe. As always, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want me to take a look at next. Let me know if there's any kind of other gameplay like this maybe that I haven't seen for Wukong. Let me know. Leave it down in the comments and I'll check it out when I can. Until next time, guys, thanks for stopping by. Take care of yourselves and I will see you next time.